guys, it's your boy, Barca Boy 103. Today we're going to be reacting to the Barcelona news over the past 24 hours where there is a lot of topics to discuss, mainly all signings. We have no news on departure over the past 24 hours. All the news has been on signings. First up, in the pivot, as we all know, the top quality pivots are complicated to sign right now financially, and the club right now are dabbling into low cost options, with Marcelo Brozovic leading the race and DaniParejo and even Romeu as plan B options for that low cost section. The club also are looking at the icing on the cake signing, with it being a creative midfielder. Of course, last summer it was Bernardo Silva, and this summer looks like to be Giovani, Celso, and Arda, Guler, but Celso is ahead as Messi has recommended Barcelona, more specifically Xavi, to sign Celso. Of course, the club are in the market for a right back as well, one of the top reinforcements in my opinion. Meunier's signing has officially been ruled out. Fresneda is an option as he's just been relegated with Real Valladolid, but Barcelona are still the favorites and are leading the race for the Joao Cancelo signing. Also, Vitor Roque's operation is on the verge of completion. It should be done in the next week, as everything between Barcelona and his club are fully agreed, barring of course payment terms and also taxes. We have some reports as well on Lewandowski rejecting a huge bid from Saudi Arabia, more insights on the Ilkay Gunodgan operation, and Barcelona's wage bill update as well. But before we get into it, make sure you guys smash that like button down below. Let's try to get to 200 likes in this video. Be very much appreciated. Also, if you're new, make sure you subscribe down below if you haven't already, and let's get into it. If you're looking for a new shirt to represent Barcelona winning La Liga, look no further than BarcaBuzz's Campeones t-shirt. Absolutely fantastic quality, has the iconic chant there as well, available in 4 different colors. Only while supplies last, use the code BarcaBoy10 at checkout to get 10% off your order. There isn't much left, the campaign's gonna end, so make sure you click the link in the description down below and get your new shirt today. Let's start off with the transfer news over the past 24 hours. Now, first we're going to be discussing Barcelona's #1 priority this summer, which of course is to reinforce the pivot position. And as we all know, Barcelona put this position on hold a little bit as their top targets are very difficult to accomplish, and also the funds may not be there. So now the club is dabbling into the low cost reinforcements for the pivot position, and the 2 main targets for that have been released or leaked. Joao Cancelo came out saying that in the current economic situation, Brozovic and DaniParejo are the 2 players on the list for the pivot position. Again, the name of Brozovic has been increasing a lot over the past few days, and of course in yesterday's video we did talk about DaniParejo a little bit as well, but again, it is Brozovic's name that is building momentum a lot. Now, Ben Aid has come out saying that there is current negotiations right now between Barcelona and Inter Milan involving Brozovic and also Franck Kessié, but it is Al Nassr, the team of course of Cristiano Ronaldo, that are the most advanced right now on Brozovic. Fabrizio Romano has come out saying the negotiations for Marcelo Brozovic are advancing between Inter Milan and Al Nassr. Still some differences left in the contract, but talks are expected to continue of course today on Friday. Final decision up to the player and his entourage. So again, right now Barcelona and Inter Milan, there's some talks there, but Al Nassr and Inter Milan are very advanced on a fee around 18 to 20 million euros. But Barcelona might chuck in Franck Kessié, who again Inter Milan are a big fan of. It's tough for me because I don't want to give up Franck Kessié, and I think I'd rather just get cash for him, 30 million from whoever else it is, but it depends on what Barcelona do really. What are their plans for the midfield? Are they going to bring in Arda, Guler? Are they going to bring in a Celso? Are they going to bring in another pivot? I'm very intrigued to see what the club do. I think right now the best low cost option up there is Brozovic. I think DaniParejo is alright, but getting out of, I think, of Villarreal will be very difficult and will probably cost more than Brozovic because Villarreal are very stingy. I think Brozovic is the best option out there right now. His age is still very good. I think he's 29-30, where Parejo was like, what, 33-34. So I would go for Brozovic, but again, for me, the question now is reaching an agreement with Inter Milan. Now again, just because Inter Milan and Al Nassr are in advanced negotiations does not mean that Brozovic wants to go there. I think DiMarzio has been all over this over the past few days, and he's saying that Brozovic wants the Barcelona move. If that Barcelona move does not happen, he'll be happy to go to Al Nassr because, of course, they're offering him a lot of money. So we'll wait and see. But again, the club are in for Brozovic. There are, current talks right now with Inter Milan. Nothing advanced, just, getting the conditions maybe on the table and seeing how Barcelona can, try and get Brozovic. But again, there are discussions for him as, the Joshua Kimmich and Zubimendi operations do look very difficult, but Xavi is still pushing for a top midfield pivot. We could even see Brozovic come in, then maybe Zubimendi or Kimmich later down the window. You can have both of them competing for the pivot. That would be an absolute masterstroke, but I think that's going to be very, very unlikely. But of course, you do have, Dani Parejo and Brozovic as the plan A for the low-cost option. There is a plan B as well, and that is Oriol Romeu, the pivot from Girona, who's probably like 39 years old. TV3 came out saying that Xavi's plan B for the pivot position is Oriol Romeu. He's seen as an alternative to Zubimendi and Kimmich for now. So TV3 are putting Romeu ahead of Brozovic and Dani Parejo, which is quite interesting. Again, Romeu has a €5 million release clause from Girona, which of course the club will have to activate to get him out of there. I doubt Girona will negotiate for one of their best players in any way, shape, or form. 39-year-old. I mean, there's no way in hell we are competing in Europe if freaking Oriol Romeu is our pivot. If you bring in Oriol Romeu and a Brozovic, different story. But again, I think that's too much investment into players who you don't see in the pivot position in 3 years. I think that's too much, investing 23 million for Brozovic and 5 million, so maybe add-ons, agent fees, both together you can say around 30 million. I think that's way too much to invest into pivots who have no future at the club. Maybe they're very, very much short terms, but again, like I said in yesterday's video, wait and see. It's very interesting to see what Barcelona do in this pivot position, because again, the top targets are being difficult to get, and now we're dabbling into the lower cost options, as Juan Marti said a few days ago as well. The club right now are looking at those low cost options because the big ones, the expensive ones, they don't want to come, and also economically the deals are very, very complicated. So wait and see how things develop over the next few days. But again, keep our eyes on the Brozovic operation with Al Nassr there negotiating with Inter Milan. They are pushing Barcelona's hand to make a move, so we could see Brozovic come in, beginning July, maybe first 10 days or so. Then that's it for the pivot. We might be going next summer for Zubimendi once he does a year in the Champions League with Real Sociedad, which although long term, you might say is a difficult decision. I think short term would be good. Bring in Brozovic for a year. He can do the role. Then you can bring in Zubimendi and have them both competing, with Zubimendi starting. Then Brozovic kind of taking that subsidiary role for a year or two. Then he can leave for free or maybe for some extra money, which I think overall isn't a terrible operation for Barcelona. I think, again, Brozovic, one of the best candidates out there, especially for his price as well. I'm very intrigued to see what the club will do in the pivot position, as of course for Xavi and his coaching staff, it is the #1 priority to reinforce this summer. Now, a midfielder who Barcelona have put talks on hold for is for Fabricio Diaz. There are reports coming in from Gigentes saying that Fabricio Diaz's agent has been in contact with Barcelona in recent weeks, but right now the operation is frozen due to the club's financial situation. There is interest from other clubs such as Villarreal, Real Betis, Braga, Flamengo, and River Plate, and Liverpool Montevideo were asking for around €6 million, but after the Under-20 World Cup, the asking price has increased to around €8 million. The decision on his future will be made in about 15 to 20 days. I think if we do end up signing Fabricio Diaz for his price, it might be a Barca Athletic signing. Again, we signed McAlfay for around 1.52 million and maybe even 5 million reported, so spending 8 million on a B team player is quite expensive. I don't really know. I think if we make some great sales this summer, like we sell Kessié, Abdi, Umtiti, Nico, maybe one of Fernan Ansu, we might have the money for him. But right now, with the club struggling to get a top quality pivot, I don't know if the club really have the money to sign a player for the future at the moment. So we'll wait and see on Fabricio Diaz against a player that we have been following now for months. I'm talking like middle of March. I've been talking about him on the channel, so we've been following him for a very, very long time. He is on the agenda, but right now the talks have been put on hold. Now, Barcelona this summer have already reinforced the midfield with Ilkay Gunodgan, and they are 100% going to sign someone for the pivot, but the club could be signing 3 midfielders this summer, as they see a final midfielder, the creative midfielder, as the icing on the cake signing. Now, Javi Miguel from AES has come out saying that Xavi sees Giovani Lo Celso as the icing on the cake in his Barcelona project. Lo Celso is the name that appeared as a viable option to occupy the position that Messi was supposed to cover. It was Xavi who insisted of it, as he's a huge fan of the player, and Xavi Hernandez has been a big fan of Lo Celso's game since Leo Messi himself told him a few years ago that Giovani Lo Celso was the best player in the national team. Wow. Now, keep in mind, last summer, our icing on the cake signing was supposed to be Bernardo Silva. That didn't end up happening, and it looks like this summer it will be Lo Celso. So again, the club want to sign a pivot, Brozovic, right back, maybe a left winger. Of course, finalize the Vitor Roque signing, and then they would go for Lo Celso. But again, we could get that early if there's some negotiations with Tottenham for the Clement Longley operation. Give Lenglet for dirt cheap, even maybe for letter of freedom, then get a buy option for a good price for Lo Celso for maybe the summer duration, something like that. I think that could be a great option for the club. So again, Lo Celso is on the table there, and honestly, it's not a bad shout having Lo Celso there. Maybe in the number 10, you can have two forwards up front, maybe especially in a 4-4-2, or when you play that 4-3-3 inverted with Xavi on the left, you can maybe play Lo Celso on the left and have a midfield three of De Jong, let's say Brozovic, Pedri, Gunodgan off the bench. You can even maybe start Gunodgan and then maybe play him or Frank in the pivot. The options are endless, but that does probably signal a left winger leaving, whether it's also Varane and also Abdi being sold. So I think, again, the money is there. It's just about registration. You have to get everything sorted out in that sense. Lower the wage bill as well. We'll have to wait and see if Frankie de Jong and Marc-Andre ter Stegen will have to take a salary cut. But with, again, Piqué, Alba, Busquets, by the way, Busquets very close to Inter Miami, Griezmann, Coutinho, hopefully Lenglet, all off the wage bill. Hopefully there will be absolutely no registration problems this summer. So keep your eyes on Lo Celso. He is seen as the icing on the cake signing. But again, with Barcelona, there is alternatives for everything. And you could say this next player is the alternative to Lo Celso as the icing on the cake signing. And that is Arda Guler, the young Turkish midfielder wonder kid. Now, Sport have come out saying that in the last few hours, Barcelona have made an important decision. They will do everything to sign Arda Guler. The club considers his signing strategic and want to carry out the final offensive to obtain his services. Deco is the deciding factor and believes that Guler can be a difference maker, and Barcelona cannot miss the chance to sign him for only 17.5 million euros, which of course is his release clause. Barcelona are certain that they will be able to register him. Obviously, his wage should be very, very cheap, and they want to determine a roadmap with Guler's agent. There is a lot of optimism. Now, when this report came out, there were reports coming in from Marca and Madrid saying that Real Madrid want to sign Arda Guler for their Castile's team, which is, their B team, like Barcelona Athletic, which is a bit strange because he is way above the level of that. This, when I first saw this, I'm thinking, wow, the club are really moving in on such a young midfielder. Betting on him 20 million euros is quite a bit for someone who's going to be coming into the first team. But Roger Toledo from Mundo Deportivo came out saying that despite the fact that Barcelona have very good reports on Arda Guler, the club does not intend to enter a bidding war for him. Now, despite the fact he has a release clause, so it's a set price, they mean bidding war in terms of other clubs offering him a bigger contract, bigger wages. Right now, Barcelona have other priorities before signing another midfielder of that profile. Now, to be fair, Roger Toledo this summer has been very, very accurate. He was all over Gundogan. Everything he said was absolutely spot on. He's been all over the Vitor Roque operation. Same with Inigo Martinez, one of the first to say that Messi wasn't going to join as well. So Roger Toledo has been, creeping up that top 5 list in the Barcelona journalists this summer. There's always one journalist each summer that just does surprisingly well. Last summer it was, I think, Gerardo Miro, obviously, and also having Miguel from AS. He was doing very well. The summer before that, it was all Juan Martin, Gabriel Sanz, and this summer looks like to be the Roger Toledo summer. So we'll see with other Guler. I think again, him and Lo Celso are both those signings that will be the icing on the cake. If you think about, if you told me swap Kessié for Brozovic and you can bring in Guler and Lo Celso, I would be all over that. Despite the fact I do love Kessié's profile. I think again, when you're in midfield of Barcelona's, the Kessié profile is only there when you already have an established squad and you're just making it better. Like what you see at Man City, they already have a world-class team. They add, Haaland for 100 million. That's, they spend all their budget on one player. That's what Kessié is for me. When you have a well-established team that's ready to go all the way in all, 4 trophies, you bring in Kessié like we did with Arturo Vidal, like we did with Paulinho, Sadio Keita in the past. So maybe we brought in Franck Kessié a bit early, but I still like his profile. But again, you told me take him out, bring in Brozovic, Guler, and Lo Celso, or maybe Brozovic and one of Lo Celso and Guler. I would be all over that. So wait to see what the club decide. I think again, the creative midfielder, that final midfielder for Barcelona, is the icing on the cake. 100%, 100%. 100% we should be signing a right back before we sign another midfielder, in my opinion. But we'll wait and see. Again, a creative midfielder for Barcelona, a third midfield signing is on the table for the club this summer. Now, along with a pivot, another priority for Barcelona this summer to reinforce is of course going to be the right back position. And again, the club need to make an investment, in my opinion, in this department, and we have been linked with a few right backs over the past 24 hours. First one is the Spanish right back in Ivan Fresneda. His agent Fali Ramadani met with the heavyweights from the Barcelona Sports Management today, and Fresneda's release clause is 20 million euros. Of course, Real Madrid have been relegated, so maybe you can even negotiate that a bit cheaper. Apparently, Borussia Dortmund and Arsenal were tracking him back in January, so they may come back in for him. Again, talks are there. Also, Mundo Deportivo came out saying the interest in Fresneda is still present, but there's no hurry to complete a deal immediately. I think even Adrian Sanchez came out saying that the club are in talks with Fresneda's camp to see if they can agree personal terms as well. So there's some movement there. Fair enough, against a promising player coming up and for a price of around 20 million euros. It's not too bad. That's why you can maybe see the potential Fabricio Diaz deal being complicated. He's about to spend 20 million euros or so on a right back. But one right back who will not be joining Barcelona this summer is Thomas Meunier. Now that Jordi Cruyff is gone, the name is just disappearing. Gabriel Sanz from Deportivo came out saying that Thomas Meunier, who was contacted a year ago by Jordi Cruyff, has now decided not to wait for Barcelona and is already studying some of the offers that have come in from Italy and from England. So again, we talked about this a few weeks ago. Thomas Meunier wanted to wait for Barcelona. He knows they need a right back, and if they got desperate, he would have been one of the options. But now he sees that's going to be a very difficult possibility with the person who recommended him leaving. So now he's off to Italy or England. To be honest, not bothered. I did say a few weeks ago that if it was him or no one, I would take him. But now it's going to be either Julian Araujo or no one. So it is what it is. But again, the right back who is being heavily linked to reinforce Barcelona's right back position has always been and still is Joao Cancelo. Fabricio Diaz, again, he's been saying this a lot recently, coming out saying that Barcelona is still the favorites in the race for Joao Cancelo, and it will depend, of course, on the situation of FFP, but the Culés are still interested on the side of the player. And Manchester City, there is still one thing that's very clear: it is time to part ways. So Cancelo 100% will leave Manchester City this summer. Pep Guardiola's confirmed this, and the club have made it very clear in the media they want Cancelo to leave the club this summer, and now it's about finding the right operation for the right price. If we have 20 million euros to negotiate a release clause with Fresneda, I would try and just offer 20 to City, 20, maybe 20 in variables for, trophies and stuff like that. Like, if we win the Champions League, I'll give City 5 million euros. I mean, I think that's totally worth it in my opinion. But again, we're being heavily linked with Cancelo. I think he is the perfect right back for Barcelona. Good age as well. I think he's 29, maybe turning 30, but can play both right back and left back. It's just versatility is so important. It's a player who Xavi likes. It's a player who Barcelona have been tracking since like 2015, 2016. I'll be all over this, and I think, a change to coming to the best club in the world will help his attitude. Of course, he's had some attitude issues with Pep Guardiola, apparently in Bayern Munich with Nagelsmann and Tuchel as well, but I think Xavi will straighten him out for sure, and this would be a signing that would get me gassed up for the season. Like, I'd be so stoked. So hopefully this is the case. I think, again, if the club just sign a right back, I'll be happy, because if we go into the season with Roberto and Julian Araujo as our only two right backs, I will cry. And of course, keep in mind, Xavi has promised Jules Koundé he will not play our right back next season, which means we have to sign a right back this summer, because if we don't, I can see Koundé playing right back. He'll be unhappy. He might push for a move. You never know. So wait and see the right back position. Again, is one of the options to reinforce this summer. Not a priority at the moment. I think the club want to get that pivot over the line, Vitor Roque over the line, who we'll talk about in a few seconds, and then go for right back. But again, according to reliable sources, it is still Joao Cancelo as the top priority for the right back reinforcement. Now, the most advanced signing at the moment for Barcelona is the signing of the number 9 Vitor Roque. He will come in to provide coverage and competition for Robert Lewandowski, and Fabricio Diaz has come out saying that Barcelona and Atletico Paranaense are to meet soon to fix the final details of the Roca operation. Payment terms, taxes, and details to be discussed. Verbal agreement already reached for 35 million euro fee with 10 million euros in variable. So again, the deal is very advanced. I would expect it to be done hopefully this weekend, maybe beginning of next week, to get the official here we go. Again, everything's already agreed: installments, fee, personal terms, just those final installment payments, how much to pay each installment, taxes, all that sort of stuff. So again, the deal is very, very advanced. Quality acquisition for Barcelona, one of the top talents in Brazil. Number 9, that way Lewandowski can get coverage, competition, just have to play every single game. All around world-class signing for Barcelona, which hopefully will be done in the next week. Let's now discuss some of the news surrounding Barcelona over the past 24 hours. No strong rumors about exits over the past 24 hours, so we're getting right into some general news. Firstly, on Robert Lewandowski rejecting a huge offer from Saudi Arabia. This is coming in from the top Polish journalist in the world, who is very, very close to Robert Lewandowski. I forget his name, but there's his handle on Twitter. Go check him out. He's come out saying that Saudi Arabia had high hopes of bringing Robert Lewandowski and offered him a salary of over 150 million euros per year, but he didn't even listen or start talks. He only wanted to stay at Barcelona. I think Lewandowski came out in the media a few days ago saying that he plans on retiring at Barcelona as well, or he said he could very likely retire at Barcelona. He's not officially ruling it out. Maybe Saudi Arabia come in when his deal ends. He might go there for a year, collect his wages and dip, which fair enough to him. But he rejected 150 million euros at his age. This is what makes this badge just unbelievable. He hasn't even been here in a year yet. Not even a year yet. I think we signed him like mid-July. Not even a year yet. And he shows that love and commitment. This is what the Barcelona badge just hits different. Players wait for you, players sacrifice for you. That is the history of this club. Unbelievable from Robert, and hopefully has a big season next year and helps Barcelona win that coveted Champions League trophy. Now, Barcelona recently signed one of Robert Lewandowski's former teammates at Borussia Dortmund, Ilkay Gunodgan, and we do have some more details about his signing and who mainly influenced it. Now, Sport have come out saying that Jordi Cruyff was the first to put Ilkay Gundogan's name on Barcelona's table. He wanted to repeat the Andreas Christensen operation. Jordi also had a great relationship with his brother and his agent, and he's also the agent, of course, of Andreas Christensen. Then Matteo Aleman made up the numbers, and Xavi then contacted the player. So again, another Jordi Cruyff signing. He, of course, has done very well in his job. He came out in the media also saying that he wants to go coaching again. That's why he's decided to leave Barcelona. He wants to coach again. He said that, again, his time there was fantastic. There were sometimes differences, as there always is, but they always came to a unanimous agreement, and he was the one that put Gundogan's name on the table. So he's had some good signs for Barcelona. Not really, Ramon Planes-esque. Of course, Ramon Planes had, Abdi, Pedri, Araujo, but Jordi Cruyff has gotten us Christensen and Ilkay Gundogan. But it wasn't just Jordi Cruyff, Aleman, and Xavi. There were other influence as well. Again, that Polish journalist, forget his name, #1 source around Lewandowski and Polish news as well. He came out saying that Lewandowski also played his part in Ilkay Gundogan's transfer. He met with Gundogan in Warsaw during the recent Poland-Germany match and persuaded him to join Barcelona. But it wasn't just Lewandowski in the current squad as well. It was Marc-Andre Ter Stegen. Sport 1 in Germany came out saying that Ter Stegen also played a part in convincing Ilkay Gundogan to join Barcelona in the last few days, alongside the confirmed, of course, Robert Lewandowski. And apparently PSG also wanted to sign Gundogan, and their offer was higher than Barcelona, but Ilkay wanted Barca. Again, just shows the influence of this team. Ter Stegen, Germany connection, Lewandowski from Borussia Dortmund connection, doing their parts to bring Gundogan to Catalonia. Now, one of the main topics that we've been talking about at Barcelona over the past, you could say, few years has, of course, been the wage bill. We do have a big update coming in from Candecer about the wage bill. They've come out saying that Barcelona plans to lower the salary cost to 528 million euros for next season, compared to the 708 million euros that Laporta came to Barcelona with. Of that 528 million euros, about 51 million euros corresponds to Lenglet, Des Umtiti Collado, and Gustavo Mai's salary. So right now the wage bill is at 528. Again, reports a few weeks ago said that the club want to get to around 450, 470-ish. When Laporta came, the wage bill was at 700, which is redonkulous. And again, if you just do 528 minus 51, you're at what? 480? Like, that's just a ridiculous jump, and that gets us what, into 10 to 20 million euros of our goal, but the club has not yet cut the debt, which remains around 1.4 billion euros. It has extended the terms and reduced the interest. Despite the huge debt, the club hopes not to lose money next season in the day-to-day management. Parts of the debt have been saved by the levers. Part of the debt is the 70 million euros that still remains to be paid of the 389 million euros that Laporta found between deferred wages and bonuses. The directors will have to place a 6 million euro guarantee at the request of La Liga, since Barcelona did not comply with the planned cuts in the section. So again, we already confirmed this. The club, the board, will give up 6 million euros for La Liga to make up for those missed numbers calculated. Regarding the use of the new levers, such as the BLM merchandising business, Barcelona today does not plan to activate it, and if they did, it would be based around growing the business itself and not just to raise money just to activate a lever. But La Liga have prevented the use of levers to clean up Barcelona's financial fair play. Lastly, Barcelona, with the viability plan approved, will be able to register all the new players like Xavi, Araujo, Sergio Roberto, Iñaki Peña, and Marcos Alonso. So overall, again, the club is in a much healthier state than it was when Laporta founded the club. We're still in debt 1.4 billion. Of course, that's mainly due to Espai Barca, but of course the levers have been used to, reduce that debt. The club put up 6 million euros of their own money, the board, to make up for those losses for La Liga. And again, if we do activate a lever now, it'll be strictly to help the business itself, not just to, give us money for a transfer budget, as La Liga now have changed the rules saying that you can't activate your own levers after Barcelona did last summer. So again, we're on the right track, getting healthy. It will take time. I do think by the time hopefully Espai Barca is officially completed, we'll be 100% healthy. We don't have to worry about registration and all this stuff anymore. Hopefully, we probably will still be in debt, but of course, I think we will be in a much healthier state. Now, of course, for Barcelona, it's all about generating revenue, and one of the big things has been Laporta's trip to Qatar. Now, Mundo Deportivo have come out saying that one of the options that the Qatari businessmen have proposed to Barcelona is the creation of a Barcelona team in their country, a kind of franchise team with a project with future growth. The Barcelona brand is very powerful internationally. It will be a similar one to Man City has under the City Football Group in different parts of the world. Players in their twilight years could go to the Arab country. At the moment, the talks are just preliminary. Laporta is studying the details. The legality and the other concepts have to be studied as well, but such a deal would mean an economic injection for Barcelona. So Qatar is kind of offering Barcelona to go worldwide, put some clubs in different countries like Man City Football Group have done. I think they have clubs all over the place. They have, of course, New York FC and MLS. They have Girona. They have Man City. I believe they have a Saudi team, which I do forget, or a Qatari team, which I do forget off the top of my head. But again, whatever brings money in for Barcelona that doesn't really, require money going into it. You can do it via sponsorship. You just use the sponsorship money to put it in there. I'm all for it. So again, we'll have to wait and see how things go over the next few years. But again, back to the wage bill. Priority for Barcelona this summer is to reduce that again to make Barcelona much more healthier than it was during 2020/2021. Now, the final topic that I want to discuss before I end off this video is Barcelona's La Liga schedule for next season has been officially confirmed. Our first match of the season is away to Getafe, which will be a big game. Our final match of the season will be away to Sevilla at the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan. First El Clasico will be at the end of October at home. Second El Clasico will be in April away at the Bernabeu. Honestly speaking, looking at this schedule, it's not too bad. There's no, 2 or 3 game stretch where you have very difficult matches. I'm looking here. You could say Real Madrid, Real Sociedad back-to-back, Betis, Villarreal in January back-to-back. You have Madrid and Real Madrid, maybe March and April looks like the top month because you have Bilbao, Atletico, and Real. Then maybe Real Sociedad shortly after that. But I think our start up until the Clasico is quite good. I can't see. So the Betis one is at home. So we got 3, 6, 9, 10 games before the Real Madrid game. I'm expecting 8 or 9 wins. Like Getafe should be a win. Cadiz should be a win. Villarreal could be difficult, so could also soon and Betis. Vigo at home should be a win. Mallorca should be a win. Sevilla at home should be a win. Granada, New Paloma should be a win. Bilbao, where is that? That's at home. That should be a win as well. So hopefully the start doesn't look too bad for Barcelona. I think once you get to the December break, we should be looking very comfortable. I think again the games are quite spaced out for Barcelona. A couple of away games back to back, couple of home games back to back, but no real stretch where you're kind of saying this could be the key moment of the season like we did last year. I think the games are pretty spread out in the sense of, difficulty. So overall, decent schedule, and hopefully this will be a schedule in which Barcelona can go and retain the La Liga championship. So So that was my reaction to the Barcelona news over the past 24 hours. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and of course leave me your thoughts down below in the comments on everything we discussed. The main thing unfortunately of course is your thoughts on Barcelona's reinforcement in the pivot, in Brozovic, Dani Parejo, or the Romeu being those lower cost options. Who would you go for? What price would you offer? What would be the conditions of those deals as well? Second, your thoughts on the icing on the cake signing in Celso and Arda Guler. Who would you go for? Would you go for both? One, maybe even neither of them. Thirdly, in the right back position, who would you go for as well? Would it be Cancelo, Fresneda, of course, Meunier being ruled out? And finally, your thoughts on the Vitor Roque operation, and do you believe it will be completed in the next week? And of course, make sure you guys subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time on the channel. Take care, and Forza Barca.